Jesse Schmidt, owner of White Sand Properties. When I bought 1560 I Street, Joe had liens on that encumbered all of his properties. So he couldn't sell any properties until we made a deal with Roger Hernstead. So Joe and I sit down with Roger and negotiated $65,000. And I said I would pay $50,000 of the $65,000. That $50,000 was towards 80 Avenue E because 1560 didn't have any violations. But he had to pay money on his violations to be able to sell other pieces of his property. So I bought 1560 first. Then I bought 1710, 1740. I bought several properties from Joe that he had either financial troubles, foreclosures, violations, tax liens. It was a big mess. We get down to his last property. He had two properties left that time. He had 80 Avenue E and 2890 Seaview. He wanted me to buy 80 Avenue E because it was in foreclosure. So I said, okay, did you pay the $15,000? Because I've already paid 50 of the $65,000 that we made a deal with Roger on. And Joe said, no, I didn't. So it was down to like there's 2 or 3 days left. We'll go in to talk to Roger. Roger was gone. I quit claim deeded the property into my name, went and talked to Roger. Roger's like, well, you owe $65,000. I said, well, actually I owe $15,000 because 50 of the 65 has already been paid. And Roger's like, no, them were violations for 1560. I said, well, I don't believe they was because 1560 didn't have any violations. Everything was encumbered under 80 Avenue E. And I said, actually, Joe has sold 2890 Seaview. He should have paid the fines whenever you guys released 2890 Seaview. And he didn't. So I tried to pay the $15,000 back then, 3 or 4 years ago. And now here we are today, again. But I brought it to compliance, and he put some stair treads on the back building, which was going to get tore down anyway. But I couldn't do anything until I can get the liens released. So that's what brings us here today.
Mr. Schmidt, could you just tell the story of how the violation occurred just for background purposes?
From what I gather, I'm sure everyone here knows Joe Orlandini, so it's going to be complex. Him and Leo Diabasi bought this together back in 2016, I think. 15, 16, 17, somewhere in there. Joe had put some stair treads on a back building and put a few pavers in between the two buildings. He got caught, got 2 different violations. Well, Leo got caught. Well, then Joe wanted it in his name, so it goes in Joe's name and Leo's name. Well, Joe supposedly bought Leo out. I don't know how that happened.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, but it was work without a permit? Was that the issue?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, work without a permit. He put some stair treads on and some pavers. And whenever I bought it, I took the stairs off, removed the pavers, went in and talked to Roger, and tried to get it resolved. That's when Roger told me I owed $65,000. I said, well, you're correct. It was $65,000. And I tried to get a copy of the agreement that Joe, Roger, and I made that day at Town Hall. But Roger's like, they're not your fines. They're Joe's fines. I said, well, I agree, but I just paid $50,000 of the $65,000. He said, well, it's not in your name. I said, okay, I agree. So that's when I bought 1560. But I'd never got a copy, but Joe and Roger, sit there and signed it, and Joe agreed to pay the other $15,000. He never paid it. I've tried to pay it several times, and that's what brings us here today.